Yeah, well, I've been farming about 40 years. Yeah, having finished, school and then gone to Muresk and studied there and then come back onto the farm and been here since. A friend once said to me there's something noble about being a farmer and feeding the world. Well, I don't know whether I subscribe to that. I love the people involved in agriculture. Dad and his business partner, a fellow by the name of Don March, got a contract here with Esperance Land Development Company in the early 60s to sow 26,000 acres of new land pasture. Most of the gear was driven over the Nullarbor, which took 3 weeks, did contracting, and then Dad decided that this was the place to be, so we shifted over, and then in 66, I think, bought the first bit of land here. And then in 75, we actually got this block of land here, which at that point was all completely scrubbed. And I remember driving through with an old tractor and looking around and thinking, wow, one day this is actually going to be a farm. And I think it's a fantastic industry. It's a very progressive industry. The increases in productivity, the change in farming systems, the adoption of new ideas, the adoption of new technology, the whole of the Esperance region, I think that's really applied to. And so it's meant that the Esperance area has become an extremely, dare I say it, profitable. Probably not meant to use those words in farming, whereas, and I think we should celebrate, the fact that this is a very good farming region and there's an enormous number of people who've done extremely well out of it. The reasons I looked at creating a community foundation probably go back quite a ways. I was lucky enough back in the 90s to be on Monty House, who was the Minister for Agriculture at the time, some of his community builders program. And there we went overseas and we looked at different things. And I think the seed was initially sown then about the idea of a community foundation. And then I remember one day I was in a particular spot east of Esperance thinking, gee, there's enormous wealth here in the farming community, and wouldn't it be great if we could actually give back? It's always sat there in my mind, and then I have had a few health challenges, and that sort of tends to focus your thinking pretty well. Made me realise that I'm in a very fortunate situation, and wouldn't it be good to be able to establish something to give back to community? So I just decided to go ahead and set something up with a focus on the things that I thought were really important in the community: health, education, youth, arts, human capacity, and also public amenity. Through investing in those areas, I think we can actually make Esperance a more resilient community and a vibrant community and a more attractive place for people to live. So it's about growing the pie for everyone. So there's different elements to the Mount Burdett Foundation, the Esperance Community Foundation, which is focused on Esperance. We've also established another element, which is the Rural and Regional Advancement Foundation, which will actually work on a statewide basis, and it's about empowering people to have an impact in their communities through the rural areas, and it's not necessarily about farmers. And then there's also another element too, which is the Mount Burdett Farming Trust. Or I've got a very close affinity with the farm. When you start thinking about, after you're here, what actually happens to this land, we have these little epiphanies, and in the middle of the night I thought, if this farm was left to an organisation that could run it, it could be used to facilitate research, hopefully be a hub for organisations to come down here and be able to do work. But also, it's a commercial farm of over 7,000 acres, and that will then derive an income stream to actually fund the Community Foundation and the Rural and Regional Advancement Foundation into the future. So it means that we can actually do work that's going to benefit all of the Esperance agricultural region, but also it's going to derive a really good income stream for the Community Foundation to be able to disseminate into the community. And this has been set up to go well into the future, well past my lifetime, what I call PC, so post Chris, and then it's a matter of having the right people here on the farm to actually run it. For some of the projects that I'm interested in funding, one was to establish a hospice in Esperance. Of course, the foundation wouldn't be involved in running a hospice. We're not involved in running projects. We don't want to do projects. We fund projects. But if somehow or another we could be a bit of an incubator and actually have some seed funding to establish a hospice in Esperance, I think that'd be of real value to the community. We're now in the year 2020, and it was the first year of actually getting the Community Foundation itself operational and getting the advisory committee going. And then coronavirus hit. That there was an organisation in town, Esperance Care Service, which is absolutely fantastic and does great work helping those in need. All of a sudden, because of the lockdown, they couldn't open their doors to actually create an income stream. So within a week of finding out about their need, we were able to have money in their bank account to keep them operational for a couple of months. As an unwritten objective was that it probably might encourage others to share in their good fortune and donate to different causes. If they want to, they can actually donate to the Mount Burdett Foundation if they see it as being worthwhile, but that was never my objective, to get outside funding. If it happened, well and good. I suppose that'd be vindication of what we're doing is right. And at the moment, I believe there's a bit of a move afoot to establish something in the Esperance area which will enable farmers to give back to the local community. And if that gets off the ground, I reckon that's a fantastic thing. I suppose when you're confronted with your mortality, you think really hard about what's left behind and what your legacy is. And your legacy shouldn't be about ego, I don't think. But I suppose we all like to think that we've actually done something decent while we've had our time on this planet. So if in some ways it's a legacy, so be it. Look, I've just been fortunate, and probably haven't been fortunate with my health, which has brought things forward a little bit. But hang on, that's life. But it's probably sharpened my focus, made me think a little bit more about what I was going to do, and that the foundation had always been on my radar. You can only live in so many houses, you can only drive so many cars, you can't take stuff with you. Why not share a bit of your good fortune while you're here? The Esperance community and farming in Esperance has been very good to our whole family. So this is just about, returning some of that favour. I think that after you've looked after family, community comes next. That's where it originates from for me. Being grateful for what you got and being able to help others. And if people see that as a legacy, well and good. I just think it just seems like the obvious thing to do.